Hey, good morning to the void. Um, so I'm feeling a bit better psychologically, but it is, as usual, when I end up doing this, it's between like 2 and 4 in the morning. Why? I don't know. That's just my pattern. I wake up then, um, which is really annoying. But anyway, so I finished a story. I've started working on another one or two. I've been working on some drabbles, which, for those who don't know that term, that's a 100 word story. 100 words exactly. No more, no less. So I've been working on those. I will be submitting them to Dragon Soul Press in a couple of days here. They have a poetry anthology coming out, and I need to check my Proton Mail and see if there's an update on, if we've got the graphics, and so I can arrange for a book tour on that and all that good stuff. From what I understand, book tours don't necessarily net you more sales of a book, but what they do is that they get, eyes on the book and increase the algorithm and all that stuff that I don't understand. So if you're looking for some sort of great wisdom about that, you will not find it here. Um, I also, it was a couple of days late, but see if I can pull this up to where I can read what I wrote yesterday. You may just end up seeing my screen or me or nothing. I honestly don't know. But I wrote, let's see, May 28th, there it is. Oh, what the hell did I do? God damn it, I hate it when I do that. This belongs yesterday, not today. I make this big, long, horrible ass, dumb document. Okay, let me just move this around. Oh my god. Don't be like me. I just do not have my shit together at all. So insert page break. You know, I only found out about page breaks a couple of years ago. That's really embarrassing. I'm entirely self-taught um, on the computer. I never took, well, okay, that's not entirely true. I actually did take a computer class or two. I don't even remember, back in 1984. And what I learned was very quickly obsolete. So anything I've taken then, let's see, I remember one one computer that was in the labs there at the business school I was attending was a Wang. I don't know if there's any Wangs out there anymore. Maybe in China. I don't know. Seriously. But that's how long ago any computer class I took. This was even, I think, before MS DOS, so we're going back away. So yeah, like I said, I was in this administrative assistant program. I also learned how to do shorthand And a while back, I found one of my old shorthand practice notebooks, hieroglyphics. I've completely forgotten. It's like all these scribbles and stuff, but I used to understand what that said, so it just goes to show you. If I'd kept up practicing it, I'd still know what all those scribbles meant, but it's lost to the sands of time and all that. Anyway, so got my new moon tarot reading, but it was a couple days late. That's kind of a cool thing to do, and reading cards for yourself, it can be tricky, especially if you're really like obsessed on a situation, then maybe like keep it to a minimum. But this is a um, different reading than I would usually do, and so that kind of keeps things interesting. And I just kind of try to keep my viewpoint objective, and um, I'll read it to you. Here we go. Oh my word. All right, and just these are just my notes that I made and stuff, and maybe you'll find some of this is applying to you, so maybe it's just kind of a trend in the atmosphere and that, or maybe it'll just be something that's interesting from a trivial point of view. This is called the Find Goal Spread. So the first card would be um, where I'm coming from right now. The the High Priestess. The High Priestess rules the unconscious mind, and reminds us to examine what's in the liminal spaces, because there's many influences, not just the ones you can directly see. And even if you don't believe in anything esoteric, that's still true. There's stuff going on that influences you that you don't maybe even know about, in the just real mundane material world. So anyway, the High Priestess signifies spiritual enlightenment, and what I need to be working on this month is trying to strengthen my higher self and psychic abilities, because I have a solid foundation already for that. I'm going to reveal a little something here. I spent a good 35 years kind of embroiled in that whole New Age movement in the 1980s and 90s there. My background going way back into childhood, I was raised Catholic. Um, I find it, it's still in there, some of the things that I learned when I was young, like when it was time for our friend Giorgio to go to the, you know, Rainbow Bridge, the other side, whatever you want to say. On Sunday, I sign of the cross, because I learned that. And even though I have problems with Christianity as a whole, but that's as the institution, not as in the spiritual practice, really. Um, I still find some comfort in the idea that it's like, hey, universe or angels or Jesus or whatever, I could use some some input here. I could use help, comfort, whatever. I don't have a problem with that. What I found was that with the church, Um, what I don't like about most religious institutions is really more political than it is spiritual. And, opiate of the masses and all that. It's about control. So that's why I've got a problem with religious institutions. I don't have a problem with, the concept, like, considering what what would Christ do, and things like that. No problem with that at all, because he is an enlightened being and all that. And again, whether you believe that or not, I'm not trying to force anything I believe on anybody else. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. But anyway, so I went from the Catholic Church to being in this whole New Age Enlightenment movement, and I'll tell you what, at the end of all that, I found it was really just more of the same with a different coat of paint. It was my way or the highway, and I learned it's a lot of victim blaming in the whole New Age thing. Everything was my fault, basically. I got essayed. My fault. I brought that on myself. Okay, you don't think I was already hearing that from society as a whole, and then I'm getting it from the supposedly spiritual enlightenment community. And don't even get me started on how much money I spent trying to, become one of the enlightened and all that. And I'm not going to say, this is more of a broad movement. It's not like a entire cult thing like Scientology or something where you just can't get away from it. It wasn't that organized, but it's just the whole ideology is actually. Um, I think the phrase that describes just the tenor of the whole thing is toxic positivity. Yeah, you know, and so let me talk to you a little about. I'm going to go off on a tangent. Little Miss Sweet Tea and Sunshine. Oh my God. This was a long time ago. Um, I encountered, and back in the early 2000s, there was a lot of this toxic positivity shit out there. So I was still in its sway a little bit, but I was more trying to deal from the mental health end of things. I had been misdiagnosed as having type 2 bipolar disorder. And it seemed to make sense because there was kind of this, up and down and up and down. But, once I learned more about ADHD, that made more sense. And I discovered by accident that I didn't have type 2 bipolar because I couldn't afford lithium. And I was like, well, this is probably going to lead to some kind of hypomania or something. But it wasn't hypomania that I had been experiencing. It was just, it was extreme anxiety. You know, I didn't recognize it as such because there wasn't the panic attack aspect to it, but that's what it was. And extreme anxiety causes you to dissociate, and it can cause you to act really strange and stuff. But anyways, so, I was doing all these blog hops and stuff trying to network, and I happened on Little Miss Sweet Tea and Sunshine, and this woman has the audacity to say, I just really don't understand those people who aren't just enjoying life. I mean, how can you have such a terrible attitude? Well, I left the fuck you out of my comment, but I said, the things you're saying here are just, there's this extreme bias for people who are struggling with conditions like clinical depression, and you are doing damage. This whole thing of shit not to say to a depressed person. Well, she was all of that. Well, I never went back there, but obviously, it stuck with me. It was just like, oh my God, what a horrible person. I don't ever want to be like that. And the thing about it is, I'm sure that, well, I'm not sure. Maybe people who knew or thought the same thing. It's like, oh my God, she's so insufferable. But I never could understand. I could never stand being around people who, smile plastered on their face. Fucking hell. I was expecting them to pull out a butcher knife and start stabbing me or something because they just have this pent up rage inside them and they're covering it with the sweet tea and sunshine. I I don't want to be around people like that. I would rather be around somebody who's real, and even if they're dealing with the darkness, and obviously most of the time I say you're recording in the darkness, but even though I can't sleep in total darkness, there's something about working in the dark. Things come to light in the dark, so that's one of the reasons why I do it like this. But so yeah, I need to be concentrating on that high priestess aspect, and not on like trying to become sort of guru of enlightenment or something like that, or trying to pass myself off as one or whatever. I'm I'm not gonna do that. I've been thinking about my Substack, and one of the things I had offered to do, which didn't attract anybody, I don't know, I would dig this. It's like if you're a paid subscriber, you get a tarot reading for, you know, your character or yourself every month to help guide your story or you or whatever. And I'm not claiming that I've got the line to the universe, and that if you don't get it from me, you aren't getting it right or such shit. I can't stand people like that either. So I guess there's just a lot of people I can't stand. Maybe that's part of my problem. But I don't like people who lie, bullshit people to try and advance themselves. I don't like that. I'm gonna be real with people. I mean, in some ways, I'm very closed off. I might have mentioned before, I tend to have trouble forming anything but superficial connections with people. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have hardly any friends. I always feel like I'm troubling people, bothering people, and I don't want to do that. And because my body is messed up, I would need certain accommodations that I can make them for myself. But as far as like just going off on an excursion with somebody, I really can't, because there's things I gotta take care of and stuff. So I miss out on things like that because I gotta take myself there, and if it ever gets to the point when I can't drive, I have to have somebody that's able to accommodate the bullshit that my body does, that I'll have to stop and take care of it. So, without going into too many details on that, anyway, let's see. Let's get back to this reading, shall we? My position of strength is the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands tells you, stop fighting other people's battles. And earlier, yesterday, gotten the Seahorse card when I was watching the Dawdling Writers stream. She's on YouTube at the Dawdling Writer, and she is great. But so she pulled the Seahorse card from the Spirit Animals deck, and one of the things that's there is saying this very thing. The Seahorse is saying this very same thing as the Five of Wands. Stop fighting other people's battles. Not my circus, not my monkey. And I really love that. Not my circus, not my monkey. I try and keep that in mind. So when you're, kind of fighting other people's battles, your strength is being misdirected. So it's like I've been scoring goals against myself. During this past month, I've been really bad with that. And I advise for myself here, don't fall for the lies of people pushing their agenda at the expense of others' well-being. And this could cover a whole range of things, but particularly when you have any issue where people are like only allowed to have one opinion and it cannot deviate at all from that opinion, or you're gonna know something that you don't want to know. And as far as like my work on my writing and stuff, don't let detractors distract you from your goal. Well, obviously I do get off the track at times, but I've written here, fortunately, I'm a stubborn asshole. And I should not be competing with anybody but myself. And I wrote, you know this, man, or ma'am. So I need to work on discipline in areas that need positive change. Positive change, not toxic positivity, because fuck that shit. I need to focus on my own shit rather than worrying about other people's concepts, because I am not the keeper of their beeswax. So I just put a message for myself, focus, baby, focus. As for my greatest weakness at this time, and so anyway, this is what I love about doing, the spreads, the full moon and the new moon. That's when to do them. Is then you got this whole spread for the year. Well, no, because it's going to be changes that come in. This is the energy right now. This is the energy you can deal with right now. And, looking into things in the subconscious, maybe I don't want to look at, and what's going on around me and stuff, and just helping me see things that I wouldn't otherwise have seen. So, my greatest weakness, the fool. So, I ain't done fooling myself. I don't have the confidence to make confident decisions. I'm always second guessing myself, and the obvious thing I need to do there is go forth into this coming next couple weeks confidently, even if it's just that attitude of, I didn't make it for you, asshole. I made it for me. My current biggest problem is the Magician. So, how is the Magician a problem? That's a positive card. Well, so the High Priestess represents the subconscious mind. The Magician represents the conscious mind. You need I need to get the conscious mind and the subconscious mind to work together instead of fighting against each other. And to a degree, both the magician and the high priestess are tricksters. He's extroverted, she's introverted. Um, they're both creators, but it's like male energy and female energy. The male energy is that big bang of an idea, the female energy forces it into form. Um, so you need those energies coming together. So that's just kind of reiterating what was said at the beginning. This is where I really need to focus. New influences I can expect is from the Four of Coins. This is a card that represents potential, but this is also potential for obsessive behavior. My past obsessions continue to harm me. I try to avoid obsessive behavior on anything, like being a super fan of something or whatever. Even if I really enjoy something, I have to temper that because it's in my personality to obsess on things. And at some point, I'll talk a little bit about limerence. Something that can destroy your life. It's really, really difficult. So, and I need to take care not to be stubborn and inflexible or to obsess on income as the only measure of success. And that's something I learned from my family. And yeah, we were always thinking about income because when I was a little kid, we were poor, and my father was working on his doctorate, and it was a difficult time. So the next card is talking about which talents or skills I need to focus on and develop. That's the Four of Cups. So, we got a couple of fours there. Four of Cups is feelings of restlessness, boredom, self-absorption. I need to put joy back into my routine because that is something that's been missing for a long time. New opportunities to be aware of, that's represented by the Page of Coins. The Page of Coins advises this, I feel in my situation. Take a practical approach. It's best because, I have difficulty focusing to kind of treat my writing craft as a 9 to 5 job. This is obviously way outside that parameter because hell's bells. Got up at 2:30 in the morning. But no, I've found that I am more productive if I stick to a schedule, and that's something I really hate about medical appointments is they put me off of my schedule. But anyway, so be persistent, keep learning, and be on the lookout for more effective ways to accomplish your goals. It's not this grind set thing, but effective. Don't waste the time. Use the time. Use the time to your advantage. Now, the new focus and likely outcome for this month or this coming 2 weeks, if things keep on the way they are. Five of Swords. This is a battle that has not been won or lost. The energy in the coming first part of June is likely to be more of the same as, for fuck's sake, more of the same. I am advised, because I have kind of a problem with not just turning away, but avoid arguing with pig-headed people, because there are some battles that can't be won. There are certain people who will always believe they are right, and there is no changing their minds. Cut your losses and cut them out of your life. Don't let them live rent-free in your head. And yeah, there's people that's been living rent-free in my head for years. I gotta scoot my butt back here. Because of this L4, L5 problem. I have various cushions that I switch through throughout the day, and this is one that's one of the kind of higher ones to cushion the tush and the tailbone and all that sort of stuff. And eventually I end up sloping forward. But yeah. Anyway, I think probably this has gone on long enough. Maybe somebody somewhere gets something out of it. Who knows? I guess I got something out of it from howling into the void. I always did want to do like voice acting and stuff, but I don't know. I talk funny, and I know that, but you know, it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun, but yeah. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. My ear itches. You missed the part, you know, before I started. I got all the sneezing out of my system, because tends to be a lot of that goes on too. It's a lot of fun, you know. Living with me is probably a very noisy prospect. I don't even want to think about all the reasons why. It's There's just no way I could be anything other than single. I mean, god damn, sad. But no, you know, I really don't mind it, and I don't like this attitude that, you know, you're not complete if you don't have a romantic partner and all that. I tried that for years and years. I kept trying and trying and trying, and pick well, and my own tendencies to be, you know, kind of, because I don't have a lot of confidence, and my tendency is to end up being jealous and figuring, well, he's gonna find someone better, and he's gonna dump me, and then I'm gonna be all fucked up and heartbroken, and who the hell needs it? And that, you know, after just screwing up over and over and over again, getting in bad situations and stuff, I just said, I don't do this right, so I'm not going to do it at all. And I don't think there's anything wrong with making that choice. For some of us, it's the right choice, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. So yeah, whatever you're working on, focus on it for the sake of what makes you feel right, and for, you know, for your creation. Make it as true to what it wants to be as you can. Don't worry about competing against other people. You'll wreck your life. The only competition should be between you and yourself and your past work, and, you know, just upping your skills all the time. And learning is a lifelong process. We get this idea that, yeah, once you're out of college or high school or college or whatever, you don't have to learn anymore, but that's not true. You should be learning stuff that speaks to you, not like what other people told you you're supposed to learn. Anyways, so this was a long one, but I hope maybe it was helpful to you. It was productive for me in a way. It was therapeutic, and probably see me go kind of up and down as far as emotional stuff goes, because there's some shit from decades ago that I'm still working out. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. So peace be to you. Bye.